Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new day. Today is April 1st. We also call that April Fools in the United States of America. We appreciate you joining for a Digital World Town Hall. I guess it's global too, yeah? We are joined by a live audience, and we are also joined by some folks that are helping to navigate through today. So we'll go through just real quick intros for a reminder. We will actually do a quick review of what's advanced in the last week over the next 30 minutes, and then have general Q&A. We're grateful for the hosts that are here, especially Wally, and thank you for your help earlier today. This is a private membership association. Some of the things we talk about may be forward-looking, and the things we usually talk about is a problem, which is secret combinations. But we also show you the solution. So we know that secret combinations basically operate in different industries in different countries. And in some cases, they go to take over countries. But we know that decentralization is a true and correct principle that will actually help to off-balance a lot of the things that are actually happening in society. And so to find that balance, we believe that the individuals owning their own identity and their own data is very, very important, actually imperative, and ensuring that machine learning and artificial intelligence can actually follow that. So whether it's getting your keys and linking it with you as an individual biologically, and then having derived keys, that's basically how artificial intelligence and machine learning can't follow it. For those that need a reminder, it's a journey to basically connect the physical world and the digital world through decentralization and leveraging sustainability along the way. The current roadmap that we'll discuss is exchange topics, and we'll talk a lot about that. Phones, homes, and autos. So there's three different clear companies that have moving parts within phones, homes, and autos, and grateful for a lot of the parts and pieces there. Majority of today's topic is going to be around the exchange, which is the number one priority. The thing that happened this last week was actually the launch of DBTC. So Bitcoin, known as BTC, wrapped in the digital world that's decentralized. So DBTC actually went live this last week. I'm going to go through the details of what that really means, how it works, how it operates. And if someone on our live call actually has a wallet, I'm going to give you the opportunity to actually show how a couple of these different assets would move back and forth once they're done. So digital Bitcoin, that's decentralized DBTC, as well as we will focus on digital USD. So both of these assets this last week went live. Digital USD pairs with $1 US or USD, and then digital BTC pairs with BTC. So we'll talk a lot about what that is, how it works, and then we'll talk about some exchanges as well. So first off, this is actually the creation process. And so there's 21 million of them that was created. And digital BTC, in this particular element, there was not a locked element. So if there's more that's created, people can see it, which actually allows for an insurance type capability. So if people actually lose them, there's a process, they can actually be reissued, which is not normal. But when we talk about digital assets that are backed by real world assets, there needs to be a clawback capability with some of the use cases that we're looking at. The real value is taking these things so that they can actually be real-time transfer, to not have to wait for the 10 minutes that usually takes for normal Bitcoin to transact, depending on when the sequence is done in the block building. But they make them very secure with the derived keys within the digital world. So for some people that say, well, Bitcoin's secured, I say, well, the 4 countries that actually adopted it rolled out the Lightning Network, which in effect centralized decentralization. And what that ultimately means is they take 3 different data points from the individual, their name, their date of birth, and maybe an address or maybe a phone number. And then they link a public Bitcoin address to it. That's the wallet of the individual. So the individual thinks it's private, but they just centralize decentralization because that Bitcoin public address was linked to them. So it really negates the privacy that Bitcoin was originally intending. And I believe that Bitcoin, hoped that the scale would be there from a speed, but the digital world enables that in real time. So that's what we're seeing here. And you can kind of see it, digital BTC or DBTC is the next generation one-to-one coin for the future of the global finance with decentralization, which is basically it doesn't cost anything to transact it, and the speed is less than 7 seconds / real time. It combines Bitcoin's trust with a cutting edge AI proof environment. So the derived keys makes it so that artificial intelligence can actually follow it. So it preserving the privacy for the individual, and it's unmatched basically today in the ecosystem. It's governed by the organization that's decentralized in the digital world called DBTC DAL. So digital decentralized Bitcoin, decentralized autonomous organization is what that represents. And the website that you'll see one-to-one ratios as well as the clawback capabilities will be at www.dbtc.holdings. So again, this is all rooted inside the digital world, and it's redefining commerce, technology, borderless for all of humanity. Huge advancements there. This is actually the accounts. This is actually the creation process. You can actually see it going live, and it is literally out there. So you've got a couple different exchanges that will actually offer this. These are not on them today, but there's 4 exchanges that we're currently working on. One that's the digital world, one that is a gold environment, which we'll talk about, which is called Alpine Gold Exchange, which currently has about 140 million in holdings that are actually not just gold bullion or gold coins, but they're specifically gold eagles inside the United States of America. And for those of you that have not been tracking the gold price, let's see if I can find one. So here's what's going on with gold over time. So you've got it down here at $300 back in 1996. Coming up, let's say 2022, it was about 1,800. Getting some feedback from somebody that just joined. And then going up to about 3,000 and some change, up towards 3,100 now. So you can kind of see even just this year, basically going up from 2,600 to about 3,100 in change. So if we zoomed in on just the last 3 months, you would kind of see where it's actually, this is the last 90 days worth of performance. So this is just gold. And what we're going to talk about is inside of this exchange. So how these environments can actually create an opportunity for future finance of currencies, equities, and commodities as humanity knows it. So how people can actually come into digital gold, where they buy physical gold, get a digital receipt, and then be able to operate within other environments, such as converting into digital USD or converting into other digital assets that are out there in the world. So if you haven't been able to see that, that's a very big advancement. And if you want, I can walk through if anybody's got any kind of pay, so ClearPay or any of the Life apps. If someone has it, I'm happy to go ahead and send out digital USD. If someone has the trading pair of digital USD, feel free to share.
I have Hawaiian Life, Michael. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, Hawaiian Life will do it. If you want to just say find a new, so digital USD or digital BTC, you can find either one of those.
So I do add more?
Yep, you do add more. And then you would basically watch that asset, it become a trusted asset. And then you would restart your app, and then you would say share screen. So if we don't have, like John, if you have it, or Wally or Susan, or
I have DBTC. I see that. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so that basically represents the US dollar one-to-one backed. And at the website www.dbtc.holdings, you'll be able to see the real world deposits. And so we'll actually be logging in to real world accounts and showing those systems in the normal fiat world is what we would call it. And then, or you could actually see it inside of the gold world, which also represents, so digital gold is, again, for those that are paying attention, you basically have the value, the time value of money with normal, let's just say USD, is actually going down because they're printing more. And so the value buying power of it is actually going down. But if you want off of that, you basically buy digital gold, or you're buying real gold and you're getting a digital receipt that usually has an accretive value. Now, we can't make representations that it will, but and again, this is not guidance advice. This is a private membership association, but you can see where it's come from $300 or $400 all the way up to $3,100. And, that just goes back to 1996. So you can kind of see that there is an intrinsic store of value in that. And what we're doing is working with other exchanges, kind of like what we just showed you, where you can actually get your digital assets in these digital currencies, if you will. So this is similar for those of you that have used Hawaiian Live for the Hawaiian environment. You log in and you see your different assets, and then you can exchange your assets, and then you have your transactions. Well, imagine if you can actually do that with gold, digital gold to digital USD, and then not just from digital USD, but to digital BTC or to other digital assets. So there's a lot of potential different assets in the world. There's 3 or 4 different gold elements today. Goldbacks is one of them. But imagine the ability to be able to convert in real time, but you actually own the asset. This is not on a centralized exchange environment. So those are the things that have been advancing this last week, a lot of material advancements. And we're just grateful for the folks that are actually open-minded around doing something that is so futuristic and and just engaging that. So a lot of advancements there. For those, as a reminder, we actually had this crazy, let's see if we get back there to that April Fool's. So again, focused on exchange. This is the Clear Homes crew. So we actually were able to spend time with them this last week, and all of us get together. I'm not leading that business. A wonderful gentleman named Carl and some other folks. We also got to see a lot of automation. If you haven't seen robotics in the real world, they're doing it. This is a gentleman that actually was the original one that I bumped into on the Clear Homes. A wonderful guy. I won't go. We're also working with some assets where you can pull in real world bank accounts, real world, whether it's what do you owe on your car? What do you owe on your house? What do you own in your car? What do you own in your house? How can you tie that into a private irrevocable trust that's in the digital world that actually upon your passing can get converted over? All of these things that are advancing. This ties to identity management, business management, assessment, and land management. This is actually Carl. He's the one that's running the Clear Homes. He's the one that's behind collecting over $700 million in pre-orders. Wonderful guy, absolutely. And this is, again, just at an event that we basically popped into, so to speak. This is the April Fool's thing. So, and this has been disputed. Why is April Fool's here? And I won't go through the details, but it is April 1st. The things I'm talking about, nothing that I'm talking about is a joke or a lie or a misrepresentation. These are facts and what we're working on. For those that are not aware, we actually posted once a week. We usually post some of the things that happened in the prior week. We stopped doing it when we started meeting with the different countries in the Pacific, but we're going to start doing it. Why? Because it actually picks up with the Clear community. We posted these in the Clear community, and then they went viral, or I wouldn't say they all went viral, but then they would then post into other environments, such as Twitter. Then it was Twitter. Now it's X, Facebook, LinkedIn. Those were the 3 common that we basically ported into. But these images that you see are actually on a social media platform that will then, and I can show you how the posting and things work, but where we really plan on standing up a lot of what the world would call Clear community, is at least the following here understood it as Clear community in the past. Some of the folks that were on with the Candao environment, we're still working through details with them. It's taken quite a bit longer than we anticipated, but we're continuing to make progress, I would say, every other day. But wonderful, wonderful individuals. And, the goal is to be able to align with them, to be able to do things around ride sharing, booking and staying, or in the social platform for this interface, tying all the way down to some of the core competencies that we have around authentication. There's another thing that's been validated. So a de-verified organization, and then an individual that's also been verified, which basically is you're logging into centralized systems that's already gone through KYC and AML For those of you that are not aware, that's anti-money laundering and know your customer. So normal banks would process those types of things if they're doing their job and then validating their IDs, their name would match up. And so we basically validate their decentralized identity and a derived key of it with their physical body than with these actual things. And we call it de-verified. I won't go through this. There's too much there. We've already talked about the DUSD. I can't underscore how important this is in this last week in the step. And then DBTC. So again, if someone has either one of these, I'm happy to do a demo live and send one of the first couple transactions. I'll even show you how the transactions can be viewed globally so that the transparency of it can actually be seen and viewed. While I'm waiting for somebody to say that they have it, I'll go ahead and navigate to the digital world. I'm going to click on the little search button and I'm going to look for, let's go ahead and do, well, somebody tell me if they've got DUSD or DBTC.
I have DBTC and DUSD, I believe.
Okay, so let's do DUSD. We're going to click into here. This is actually DUSD DAO. So it's a decentralized autonomous organization where you'll be able to see them at DUSD.holdings and see the one-to-one. You can see that there's only 5 transactions here. This is the original seeding transaction, which uses 3 different members and multi-factor authentication, not just for the individuals, but also multi-signature. But you can see here that there's 2 transactions of 100 that have already been sent out. Let me see. I don't even see if I've got a device that has it on. So if you want to pull that asset up, did you say DBTC or?
Well, I have both. I have DUSD and
let's do DUSD and say receive. And I'm going to go ahead and send you.
Okay, but how do I do that? Because I'm.
So you're going to share your screen. You're going to turn on your video. You're going to hold your phone up to the video stream.
Okay, I'm on my iPhone. This is on Hawaiian Life on my iPhone.
Okay, so but that's okay. So you're on Hawaiian Life and you are logged into your digital asset on your phone. Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm logged in though. How do I know if I'm logged in?
If you're seeing it, you're okay. You don't have to log into the Hawaiian Kingdom. You basically just log into that asset. You put your QR code up. I'm going to turn on your video and scan it and show everyone how it transfers. John, if you could help out here, that would be great as well. So Danielle, do you have that by chance? Can you turn on your video?
Well, I have the asset list. I have the DUSD coin. Where's the, oh, here's.
So you have to add it and watch it and then shut down and restart. John, can you turn that on for us?
Got it.
Are you with me, bud?
Okay.
So John, if you could share your, Danielle, are you watching that? I'm concerned that you haven't created a trust line with it. So if someone could just grab the asset, put it in their wallet, and then share it, I'll send you 100 digital US dollars. And so that everybody can basically see real time how it works. So you have to actually have it in your trust. You have to, when you pull up your wallet, you're going to see, you know, your normal currencies that you have in there, and then you'll see an additional one after you've added it. So you have to click on it and say watch. It takes a couple seconds. That creates a trust profile with it. Then you restart the app, and then you'll be able to see the other one. John, if you would share your video stream and then share the actual, if you're in a position, if you're not, it's okay. But if you, or Wally or anybody that can pull these down, this is like.
Okay, so I've got watch with a check mark.
Yeah. And then once you watch it, then you basically shut that app down after it's given you the check mark. And then when you open it back up, you'll see it in your trusted line.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and jump to a different topic while we're going around in circles.
Yep, I
there.
see it. I have it right here. Organization accounts, and it's right there.
Okay. So again, there's 5 transactions here. It was just ticking live. And Danielle, if you take your video live so folks can see you, then you basically just put your QR code for that asset after you push receive, and it will go ahead and pull it in.
My video live. I don't understand what you mean, Michael. Sorry.
So just turn on your video, like you're going to look at me or vice versa.
My video's on.
No,
I've been on the whole time.
no, sheesh. Why don't you turn it off and turn it back on and see if that helps it?
Sure. You see me?
Tell you what, go ahead and drop in your public. Well, I guess you're not logged in there. No, I'm not seeing your video stream.
Do you want me to log out and come back in?
No.
Michael, I see Danielle.
Do you? Do you? Oh, that's
Yes, I
wonderful. Maybe because I'm not.
Where is this digital coin at again? On the Trust Wallet?
No, if in your, let's see, you're on Apple, right, Charles? You're on a Clear
I'm
phone.
on the,
So
I
you
have
would-
this funky phone that you got.
Yeah, Clear phone. So if you go into your ClearPay app and you click on
Okay.
you click on Add More, it doesn't matter because I'm not seeing anybody's video feed. So yeah,
Michael, I have it. It's Brandy. Hi, it's nice to see you. I have a DUSD right here.
awesome.
And then I can give you the receiving number. Can you do that there? Is that how you want to do it?
Yeah, you can either send the number in the chat or directly, to different means, so it's private, or you can turn on a video and stream it that way.
Yep, I'm already on video. Take a look.
I wonder why. So I think the issue is on my side. I'm not seeing any video streams. It's probably because
Too.
I'm doing this on one screen. I'm actually sharing a lot and broadcasting and doing all this crazy stuff all at the same time. So I'm not seeing any video streams. If you could
I've
just
got it too.
grab, if someone could drop in a address. Boy, it really shouldn't be this painful, but there we go. There we go. There
What
we
it
go.
is.
Thank you, John.
Growing pains, growing pains.
Well,
Good.
it's just education is what it comes down to. So I'm going to grab an address, okay? And then how do I get that? I've got one screen. John, could you drop that on Clear Signal or Signal? I just don't want to broadcast here. John, can we get there we go. Thanks, buddy. Okay, so I'm going to copy. What you'll see is these transactions here. You're just going to, instead of scanning him, like if he was already in my contacts, would already have it. So what I'm doing is, for those that can see video streams, is I basically just push the send button, put my fingerprint on it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it usually goes there. It just went. So he just received it, and this is a public ledger that basically sees that transaction in real time. So you can see that transaction is right here. So this 120 is what was just sent. Okay. So you can kind of see that environment there. You can see other elements as well. But yeah, so that's basically a real-time transfer of a digital asset and someone actually being able to see it and then now receiving it. It's full settlement within those 7 seconds, and then he can send it off to other folks as well. John, tell you what, if you want to send back, well, I won't go through this. I think the audience sees and understands what we're talking about. So I'm going to jump to another
Not
topic.
the least bit.
You don't understand, Charles, what just happened?
No, because in trying to find the digital USD, I can't, on my phone, I'm getting onto my computer now.
Yeah.
So
So
like,
on your phone, you basically say add more in your ClearPay wallet, and then you find the asset that you want, you watch it, then you restart the wallet, and it'll be inside of it. What don't you understand with that, or is it not working?
right now it's not working, so.
Okay. Well, just get it
Another time
work.
we'll have to figure it out.
No. Get it working while I go on to the next topic, and then send me over your address and I'll send it out, and then we'll do the demo real fast too, so folks will see it. I'm going to jump to another topic that's related to what we were talking about before. This is regarding the final. So there's 75 days that TikTok was given to basically either come up with a deal. I'm getting some feedback on someone's line. So come up with a deal for TikTok, or basically shut down, ceasing operations in the United States of America. We're getting a lot of feedback. Charles, that's you, bud. Charles, if you could mute that.
I'm innocent. I'm innocent.
Thanks, buddy. So this gentleman, Reed, we actually had the opportunity to talk with his office and team today. And so they basically offered $50 billion. The closest offer was from Kevin O'Leary at $20 billion. But this gentleman out of Wyoming has been able to round up, and they're actually in the same town as where we just, Charles, you're still making noise, as where we went to prior with some of the mints and some other things. So same part of Wyoming. Wyoming has the Dow laws, first state in the United States of America, and actually jurisdiction all around the world. But this individual rounded up $50 billion to offer and buy TikTok. Now, we have another meeting with them tomorrow, but this is actually him. But the value in what we're looking at is really, is it about the technology? Is it about the algorithm? Is it about the engagement? Is it about, I'd say, the dumbing down of a generation? Is it about the user base? What is the real value that is provided from TikTok? And I would say, from learning, or at least observing what this individual is about, he's built on true and correct principles that are trying to do the right things for future generations and America. And so with that being said, we're honored to be able to not only connect with them today, because it was announced, as well as connect with them tomorrow to, I believe, deploy a social platform with features, functions, and benefits that could benefit humanity 100 times more than what TikTok is doing, with 10 times the features and functions at, I believe, 10% of the price. And so that's what we're talking to them to say, hey, don't spend $50 billion. Even if these guys come back, don't spend it. Spend 10% of it driving and building a platform for the future. And I'm going to show you some things that happened this last week that may turn on some lights. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to drop into a profile here that goes through. This is a new platform that we're testing on a social platform. So this is actually the client side of it. This is actually an interface. If you look really close, as a matter of fact, I'm just going
Can't see the screen, Mike.
to.
Cool.
Thank you for the heads
Can
up.
anybody else see him?
Cannot see the screen. I'm
Um,
actually watching on X right now.
Thanks for the heads up there, Danielle. You should be able to see it now. Wally, can we confirm that you're able to see that okay? So
Yes, we can
what,
see it.
what I'm going to show you are two different interfaces. Okay. Notice this interface here and this interface here. By the way, I changed both photos based upon what happened here. So this one's got 50 or 5.1 thousand or 5,100 followers and 2.5K followers. And then it's got some images here. And then this one has what? Oh, look down here. It's got 5.1K followers and 0 following. But if we dig into what this profile is, it's actually not real. So someone actually copied my photo here and then made a post like in this intro matching to what this is. And this is all within this last month, okay? But when you look at what they're doing, they're basically taking a message and spoofing it. So what I've done is I've basically asked some of my friends to go to this individual's profile. This is the fake profile right here. And I asked them to report them. And over 30 people said that they reported this as a fake profile, yet not only does it still exist, but it's still able to send out messages. And the messages that it sends out to these wonderful friends is, hello, user. Congratulations on being one of the few active selected blah, blah, blah. Let's give you this fake stuff. It's just, and they're trying to get a message and then they're going to try and spoof it. Now, many people may say, yeah, it's just a part of life. It just happens. By the way, this is when they actually updated the profile. So you can see they've been sending messages to different people. Like this is literally direct messages they're sending. So the people think that it's valid. They think that it's me. And then when they communicate with them directly, I don't know what they do. I've actually asked some people yesterday to try and get dialogue on, but it doesn't just feel like a violation. It's not just a violation that people that do this and they should have their hands cut off, but it's the system itself that would actually propagate something like this. So I call Facebook, I email Facebook, I message Facebook, I log a report on Facebook saying that it's fake. 30 people validated. So when we come back over here, like look at these folks that actually said, I did it. Like, here we go. Like this is 30 people that literally said, I've done it. And by the way, thank you, LaDonna, Melissa, John, all these people went in and said, I did it. So and then this is basically what the support people are saying. This was as of yesterday. So why we didn't remove the page, to keep with the review process as fair as possible, we're using, well, you guys can read it yourself. But the point that I'm trying to drive at is this is identity fraud. And then this is an environment where Meta/Facebook is actually enabling it. Now, people know that this stuff is happening on multiple other fronts. I won't dig into the details of those. But what I do believe is there's an opportunity to stand up a system with someone like this that actually wants to build a system, is willing to round up $50 billion to actually try and build something. He doesn't know if he's going to be able to ever get a return on that investment. Do they have a lot of users? Yeah. Have they grown fast? Yeah. But if you take a system that says, let's give the individuals their own identity and prove it with them being able to self-verify, let's give them the ability to pay with assets that can actually be transferred in real time with no fees, and wrap multiple other currencies, equities, and commodities for the future. I believe that people like this and people that lock arms together, there's others. I'm not saying that what X is doing or what Truth Social's doing isn't right. And I actually believe, for instance, by the way, this is another thing that's happened this last week, is X was sold internally to, I want to call it XAI. So it's a transaction. When people dig into it, it's basically around probably net operating losses, and then capital gains and a couple of other benefits around structures. So you can't get upset that they're trying to structure things right. But this is a big topic for $50 billion to be thrown out and people really caring about a problem. And the problem is not just, are the systems dumbing us down? Are the reels taking away time? Are they taking away the most precious gift that we've been given? Not just our attention, but our lives, our cycles in life. So with that being said, there's a lot of things that are moving around. We've gone through a bunch of them. There is some things at the end of the month around taking, and I hope for those that are following anything around the SEC or anything around money transmitter or anything around investments, there is the ability to actually do different investments. And this particular one represents an equity type investment in different organizations, which we can look at here. So this is, a $50 million raise that has rewards and bonuses. This is a 75, a 120, a 50. This one's there's lots of different raises that can happen. But the point that I'm driving at is, imagine if accredited investors can be invited and folks that are not accredited can basically go over and purchase real world digital assets and start actually getting out of the system that's going to decline with buying power and get into the system that's actually going to be accretive or positive or grow. So, and again, this is not investment advice. We can't make claims that gold's going to go up, but I personally believe that as time value of money and systems shift, you're going to see growth over time. You know, you can see a dip here. It went from 29.33 down to 28, but you can see a couple months later. Actually, this is in the same month. So you can see it's continued to grow. But again, I don't want to give you guidance advice, but what I can say is the mediums to intelligently organize technology so that humanity can benefit from it, it's here. It's real. It's live. And with that being said, I'll stop blabbing. Any thoughts, comments, feedback? We got a whoop.
Hey, Michael, it's Brandy. Oh my gosh. Everything that you're saying, everything that you're presenting, it's just my hairs on my arm. It's just, look, we've waited for this time for so long. And here, I'll come off onto camera. It's really, it's mind blowing. And it's mind blowing so much that people they just don't get it. They get scared. And, you know, I spoke to a few people and I'm like, yes, town hall, let's go. It's Tuesday, let's go. You know, I'm like firecracker out there. But there's a little bit of a shakiness. And so I see you and I'm so grateful. Let me just say that to you, your team, everyone who shows up here every Tuesday. I'm a proud partner of Candel and I know what we're doing. So it's only going to get better from here. You know, the DUSD, to just kind of put a pin in it, the DUSD. I noticed there's a ton of tokens already on this ledger. So can you explain how they were approved to become a token? Did they have to go through your process? Like
that's just it. Really, what it comes down to is anybody should be given the right to create anything, whether it's I took a rock and I painted a picture on it, or I cracked it and it's got some value to me because it's actually a shell inside of it. And I want to convert a real world asset into something that's represented digitally. I believe it's a human right to be able to create, to transact, to travel, and to be private. And the real value, it's like, why do people trust a bank? Why do people trust a government? Why do people trust one country over another country? Yes, they may have a rating, they may have insurance, but all of it comes down to really the transparency, just like we saw in that screen share where you saw a transaction, you know, and then you can see other things, but you don't see the individual's identity. So people should be able to create organizations. They can DAO, so to speak. To your point.
Yay, you said it. Like in the movies. Oh, he finally said it.
Yeah, exactly. They can create an organization. That organization, whether it's a trust, whether it's a corporation, they can create things that can then be represented. And I'm going to pull up, I'm going to go to Digital World. I'm going to click on services. I'm going to click on reputation. And you can see here that
Can't see, Michael.
Here we go. There we go. Thanks for the heads up so quick. So you can see here that the individual has their own reputation. And that reputation, you watch, we're currently in some dialogue with organizations that have literally over 14,000 different organizations that they have data access points to. So for instance, I would argue that if you're in Canada, I know this calls from all around the world, but if you're in North America, they have over 80% of all entities that have logins. So if you've got a loan with a car or a loan with some land or a loan with a bank or maybe some type of a Merrill Lynch account or a Charles Schwab account or Fidelity account or a bank account, a Chase account, American Express, Bank of America, you name it. Imagine the ability to take a decentralized identity that really has a reputation score of 0 and log in and be able to pull your existing TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, bank accounts, loans, all of the data that's actually assimilated there and validate 5 different ways that 5 different banks have actually given you KYC and AML verification. And then they've also got multiple different credit histories. And the crazy thing about it is, think about Plaid, which basically logs in, copies all the data, and then shares it with other people, which I think is a massive violation of privacy. Like what Peter Thiel is doing, what Stripe is doing, what Plaid is doing is the opposite of open banking and privacy. It is actually doing the same type of data harvesting that you're seeing out of Facebook, out of Google, etc. But imagine the opposite, where that data is not shared with third parties. It is actually giving to you as an individual. And so you can actually log into an interface. So here, I'll go ahead, and for those that this may be the first time you're seeing it, I'll go ahead and log in. So I'm grabbing a Life app, and I'm going to go ahead, and this is not just the digital world, this is a jurisdiction of the Hawaiian Kingdom. So I'm going to go ahead, no usernames, no passwords, 5-factor authentication. I'm logging in with a fingerprint and a scan. I can come in and I can actually see real-time transactions within this system. So I can see different wallets, I can see different assets, I can exchange those assets, I can see different transactions. Like if I scroll down here, I'm getting a lot of calls. You can see different transactions, etc. So the point being is, what if inside of this interface, you could also see not just your digital assets, but your real world assets, your bank balances. And not only that, but what if you could take your bank balances and transfer those to a gold balance or a digital USD balance? Or what if you could actually take,
Early days.
say again?
Yeah, if you can hear me okay, the internet's going in and out. And the early times of NFTs and OpenSea, a lot of the whale communities and liquidity pools, we would have newcomers and they would go to view the transactions to know who to actually go and present to in order to bring them into an investment opportunity. And so this makes it very easy for people to look at a key and notice their value, financial value. Now, what's your take on that? Is that kind of just, it's just open?
No,
Very much
the things that I'm sharing with you, this is a private interface, and the data that I just articulated is actually private to the individual. The problem is the banks are the ones you have usually. So let's say someone has a savings account with one bank, a money market account and a checking account with another bank, an auto loan with another bank, a mortgage with another bank. They don't really know what their assets are. But what if I told you that the company that actually owns the category of being able to take all of that and create a simple view for the user to be able to see? Now, the key is that individual that logs into those, they own the data and they're the only ones that see that data. So it's not a third party. If there's a digital asset that's transferred, let's say in the digital world, what you're talking about is, let's say someone that's amassed something, you still have to have the validation point of who is this address connected to. And in these types of ecosystems, each one of these different assets can actually represent a different asset. So let's say that someone had Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, and Hawaiian dollar and digital USD or DUSD. All of those different assets would actually have different derived keys, so the public keys would not be linked. Does that click in your mind?
I understand that.
Yeah. So the individual's transactions would be transparent and the world could see them, kind of like what we saw here. But the actual asset, so for instance, this was one of the ones that actually created, you'll see it's got the only asset that's in there is that particular asset. So it's what it created and then what was sent somewhere else, and it stops there. So things like Chainlink and other things like that cannot follow these types of environments, especially when they're cross-chain. So because of the way that derived keys are used, it's not something that can be followed like you can typically do in a historical, what the world would call crypto environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Other thoughts or comments or feedback?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question, Michael. So is the public key linked to the derived key but they don't, but not to the private key, correct?
So there's two parts to the question. The private key is never shared, and any of the
Right.
derived key private keys are never shared. The only thing that's ever shared is the 12 words in the beginning, and that is linked to the fingerprint, and it's never used for other transactions other than rebuilding your phone if you need to. So if you lose your phone, you plug in the 12 words, you link your fingerprint, and your apps and your data come back if you're on a clear phone. If you're on an iPhone or an Apple phone, or if you're on a Android phone, they don't come back the same way, but there's a unique environment with the clear phones. And then the other part of it is the original key and then the derived keys are not linked. That is not a public transaction. That is not something that the world can see. The net is an individual actually needs. So like, let's say I am inside of this environment. Let's say I want to come and create a business. That's why it's so powerful. When I go and create, if I click here and I say, I want to actually
Okay,
scan.
we can't see your screen though. That's the problem.
Here, I'll come back over to you. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm just down to one monitor. So I went from meeting right into this. So what I'm showing you is I'm actually scanning to create a business that creates a derived key. So this is the derived key. Notice how you can't see it all as well. So that derived
Right.
key then creates this business, like what happened here with this organization here. This is what the world can see. So the world can see that a digital organization was created inside the jurisdiction of the Hawaiian Kingdom. And then you've got a company name, Beans and Rice. You've got a unique identifier. You've got a date that it was started, the type of organization that it is, a website, a location. This one actually has some oomph to it. I wonder why. And then a reputation. And then you've got different members. Okay, so this has a member and a manager. They're different people. So for instance, let's click on this gentleman here. Can we tell who this is? Or, here, let's say this is actually my world. People can triangulate that particular one. If they don't know, then they can request or go through another process. Maybe they want to find out, maybe there's a registration they want to see or other things. But the point is you can see that there was a transaction with a created asset around rice and beans. They created an asset called beans. Maybe they're going to sell something. Maybe it's inventory. Maybe it's, I don't know what this represents. The question becomes the validity between what it physically represents and what it digitally represents. And that's where some of these other validating holding sites are actually going to verify. So if we want to jump into this, you can see, this individual also has some Marriott rewards, has some Hawaiian Dala, et cetera. But you can see that the beans that were created, he hasn't spilled the beans. They're still in one pot, so to speak. But if they started moving around, they would start looking like what we see here. Okay. So
Right,
does that answer both of your questions?
pretty much.
Other thoughts or comments or feedback? Well, lots happened this week, eh?
Michael,
Hi,
it's Brandy.
Michael.
Go ahead. Who? I don't know.
Hi,
who was
Michael. It's
first.
Becca.
Hello.
Just a question going back to the DBTC and then switching to the DUSD. Do we have to do that? Can we go straight from DBTC to straight back to fiat money, or do we have to go through the layers?
Through the what? What was the last word?
So you know how we're switching from DBTC to DUSD.
Uh-huh.
Do we and you can actually transfer back into fiat money? Can we go straight from DBTC back into the fiat money?
In certain ecosystems, you can. Inside of the Clear ecosystems with like a Clear Pay card, if people want to convert to rewards, they can basically then convert it onto here. I'll go ahead and pull open both of the interfaces here. So you open up the payment app, you click on the Visa, you say, go ahead and swap. And let's say you want to convert. So you basically would convert a particular card per se into, so if you switch the digital asset into the fiat asset, which is what Visa or MasterCard is, you would literally have, you know, the ability to spend that in the current fiat world with vendors that are not accepting these types of payments. Now, one of the goals that we're focused on, and some of you might be excited about this, but there have been talks about doing an event similar to the one that was done in 2000. So this, let's see, this was not the first one. So this was Alaska. So we actually went, and the cost back then, this is 2022, was $1,750, and you got a $1,200 phone with it. And it went from Glacier Bay to Skagway to Juneau. It's a 7-day cruise. And it actually went to the top of the world, so to speak, where the last gold mining was done. So it takes out of Seattle, Washington, and then it goes up to Juneau, Skagway, and in Ketchikan, we actually have an excursion. This is the excursion. This train takes you up to the top gold mines that were basically the last one in existence, at least up in this parts of the world. This is kind of where it's as far as they went. And then what we do is on these excursions, by the way, we'll announce the dates, and then the sooner you get in, the better the type of room and environment that you can get. But this is on Norwegian Cruise Lines. As you know, the food, the dining, the entertainment, the activities, you know, all these different things are all built in. But what's unique is we're talking about, and we should know by the 15th of this month, if the gold ecosystem with Alpine Gold, which, by the way, there's a couple folks, there's a folk on the, or a gal on this call that went and did a cruise this last couple weeks in the Caribbean. And while they were doing that cruise in the Caribbean, the gold folks were also doing a cruise there as well. What's unique about this type of an environment is we basically go through, we'll just wrap up here real soon. Thank you, Larry. Is you basically have different merchants that accept the digital assets. And then for those of you that weren't on like the first one that we did, for instance, we basically had a little treasure hunt where you would find merchants, and like on the ground, you would see, you know, XYZ, let's say digital gold accepted here. You could go in and actually purchase, in some of the cases we did, maybe it was bread, maybe it was coffee, maybe it was an ice cream. But when you did it, you actually got a bingo chip that you could then put on a bingo card. And then every day we gave away a node at a little, whatever they call a raffle or bingo thing. So this was one that we did in the past. We're currently talking with doing something in the summer. If you would like to attend, or this is something that you might want to get involved with, you know, let us know, because we're currently locking down the dates. And again, this would be up in Alaska. We usually do them in the Pacific. There's a whole nother conversation around that. But yeah, this is what we're targeting. The pricing may be a little bit higher, but it will be with friends, with members, with cohorts, and you'll be able to be exposed to some of the latest and greatest that's going on around really getting merchants and then getting some of the future products. I know that the folks that are on this call are already plugged into the same value and benefits. You're getting real-time updates every single week. So other thoughts or comments or feedback? If there's none, we'll go ahead and wrap up.
I have one question, Michael.
Go ahead.
When you create an asset, where does the asset get its value from?
It's what's
Who decides what?
it's backed by, and it's what fair market value on the exchanges basically perceive it to be. So maybe an asset is ownership in a company. Maybe asset is a part of revenue stream that gets paid out like dividends. Maybe an asset is ownership in a car or a house, or maybe a title report, or maybe an asset, you know, could actually be a family. Or maybe when these assets are collected and someone in a family passes away, and there's actually, you know, the trust structure and estate planning has been done, it can pass without needing third parties because it's cryptographically secured. So, is it perfect? No. Does it have to have the reputation and trust behind it? It does. But that is the next step. And if we stop and we basically say, come out of US dollars and go into gold, and this is the value of gold, which we don't set. It's a fair market value based upon, I would say secret combinations, but what's not, so the point being is it's accretive. If you look at the history, it continues to go up. Can we say it's always going to go up? No. The probability of it going up is probably high because it's an element of scarcity, and lots of governments are actually buying it and backing their currency. Again, today is April 1st, 2025. April 2nd, 2025, there's going to be some interesting announcements. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk to you all next week. Is there any other closing feedback that anyone has? Thoughts, comments?
I just have one other thing for you, Michael, and it's just about the social media announcement that you made. And I do want to stress the fact that at the licensing point is really when we need to start kind of digging into those deep fakes and artificial intelligence that get put on app stores. So that's just kind of the only thing that I've got to say about the licensing of apps on app stores.
Remember the verified, that de-verified?
Yes.
Imagine
that's really good.
Imagine if people could log into their own accounts and validate and verify, and then think about a third-party notary that comes on and actually says, I want to see your face. I want to see you blink. I want to see you turn your head. I want to see you show me an ID. I want you to log into these bank. Like, you can literally get triple notarized and verified, and the people can actually trust that at a level that the current systems just aren't doing. And then if you can do that, imagine what you can do when it comes to, I want to get a ride, or I want to subscribe to a house, or I want, there's so much that the basic things that we do, we're giving away so much value to existing systems that are just inefficient, whether they're identity systems, financial systems, governing system, taxing systems. And so the goal is to basically help remove that. So any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, to piggyback on what Becca just said. So let's say I want to download the Candeo app. So I'm assuming that there would be no terms and conditions surrounding privacy because it would be decentralized, correct?
We've actually had people come to us and say, I went to audit your app and you don't ask for any permissions. I'll install this. It's what we call permissionless. So there really is no, you should be able to validate and verify who you are, and with zero loss, so to speak. And so in the end, the permission comes from the individual, not from a centralized system that can control others. And that's what this is all about. So your observation is totally spot on.
Awesome.
Any other thoughts or comments or feedback, or, criticism is also welcome. I mean, shoot holes in things, say that doesn't make sense, or, really, this is the forum to provide feedback and guidance as this is being.
Michael, how do we de-verify? How does that happen? It just is. How is the de-verify?
We've started the process of integration where you'll be able to log into an interface and you'll be able to say, validate who I am. And then it pops up a username, or it pops up a bunch of just different organizations, like 14,000 organizations that basically have login credentials, some form of login credentials. Some of them use KYC and AML, some of them don't. Some of them may be a school, some of them may be an employer, some of them may be around a degree, but you basically pick who you have accounts with, because we all have accounts. And then from there, we're starting with the ones that actually do KYC and AML. So you would log in, let's say you would log into a bank, and then you would be able to see the history, the types of structure and payments. It's crazy that I won't even get into the data around what they do and how they can see, oh, this is a bill, This has been around for this long. For instance, we can see if there's an accredited investor. If they pump 250,000 through within a 12-month period, they've got cash flow that puts them in an accredited investor state. So we can take funds from them. Any of the companies that are raising on the different funding platforms like this can literally raise funds. And then there's others that can go a different path. So the goal is to work with not just individuals that identify themselves, but also other assets that are out there in the world, even other digital assets. Maybe it's Stellar based, maybe it's Ethereum based, maybe it's EOS based, maybe it's Bitcoin based, maybe it's Ripple based. You know, those are all private, supposedly private environments, but we tie those private with the public where the individual owns their own identity along the way. And that's where this is going to get real. And we're currently in that development process actively right now.
Okay, so have you come across any Hyperledger fabrics?
Yeah, there absolutely. The Hyperledger Indy is actually the same individual that wrote that. Sam Smith is on the team. He's he's probably only 10 minutes away from me right now, where I sit and where he sits. So
okay, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Other thoughts or feedback, comments?
Okay, one last question, sorry.
That's okay.
So the DBTC, am I correct in thinking that, okay, so it's backed, sorry, it's backed by gold, is that correct?
DBTC is backed by Bitcoin.
By Bitcoin? Okay,
DUSD
so-
is backed by US dollars. I'm gonna
So
see if
would
I
I
can-
be able to purchase a fraction of a DBTC?
Yeah. Yep. That's
Okay.
the goal. Yep. Today, the backing process still needs to be put in. Liquidity is a weakness for us today, but you know, that's basically where it's at, so to speak. Actually, Sam Smith has a presentation in one of these. I don't see it here, but he's got some amazing presentations that spells out really what the future of, you know, Indy was, and Hyperledger Indy, and it ties into what's called carry, key receipt management, which is what is used in this environment. So But-
Michael, let's say somebody has, let's say I want to invest in real estate, but I don't have, I don't have $200,000 to invest in real estate, but my friend bought an apartment building and he's willing to sell me like a share in his building?
Yeah.
Is that something that you're looking at doing in the future, maybe? Like tokenizing, maybe?
that's a really good use case of something that exactly could be done. And Mr. Stevens, Jeffrey Stevens, you're welcome to join anytime. But that's exactly a use case that would work well. So are we doing it? There's been business plans that have been behind it. There is a clear title that's been floated, but there's no team behind it yet. There's none of that. So we believe that people should plug into the framework and build these types of things in these environments. And that's really the goal, is to get other ecosystems building on this, which is a whole nother conversation. Jeffrey or Stephen, you're welcome. It looks like you have a hand raised. You're good to go. Otherwise, we'll count to 5 and then we'll wrap up the meeting unless there's other questions or comments. Thoughts, feedback, criticism? Okay, everybody. Well, we will see you next week. Thank you for your feedback, for your participation. It looks like Brandy has, here, we'll go ahead and send out actually, we'll do that.
Mike, looks like that Stephen wants to talk, but his mic was muted.
Yeah. Yep. Brandy, if you want to send that through another medium of communication, maybe through Signal or Clear Signal, I can get that popped off and then we can actually see it real time right now.
Yeah, I don't know what you're reviewing.
Signal, send your address through Signal.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much. You're amazing. And this whole crew, I really applaud everyone, seeing where we're at. This is a timely manner. If you understand how important it is to intelligently communicate this on a ABC level, we will move faster.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're ready to move faster, but I can tell you people are ready for it. Somebody asked about fractional ownership on real estate and tokenizing real world assets. I have about 100 leads on that. And so there's something that, obviously the universe wants us to kind of like, just kind of mosey on out there slowly. Or if we punch it out there too fast, it might break the system. So
No,
very
it's time.
important.
It's time. It's time. A lot of it is basically methodical rollouts that aren't just on analysis paralysis, which I think is a lot of things coming out of, but really the regulators are going to be the ones that enable it. So Charles, it's good to hear from you. Thank you
Charles
all.
said y'all are too smart for me.
Yeah. Well, we got to get it down to, you're spot on with the, get the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and get it really simple. And, it will be, and that's going to be the marketing folks and really the public relations folks on how to communicate, how to get it in front of the right voices and audiences. But it's time. So thank you all for your time, your attention. We'll see you next week. And we look forward to, what are we going to be, Tuesday? So it'll be what, the 7th or the 8th next week? I think we're in Mercury retrograde, and I think the 8th we come out of it. So hopefully things can start running a lot faster after that. Anyways, much love, everybody. And Jeff or Steven, you're welcome to unmute. We'll give you a couple more seconds, and then we'll sign off. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.